All right, elementary artists. Today we are going to start an artwork that shares one of our family traditions. So something that you and your family have done multiple times or that you always do at a certain time of the year. A family tradition could be the way that you celebrate your birthday. A family tradition could be Taco Tuesdays, that you sit around and you have tacos every Tuesday with your family. A family tradition could be football Sundays. So it doesn't have to just be a holiday. In mine, I shared what I do for the winter holiday. My family tradition is making cookies with my little cousins. So I have my hand, my little cousin's hand, and then some cookies, the types of Christmas cookies that we like to make and decorate. So it could be about a holiday, but it doesn't have to be. Your family tradition could be maybe going shopping for back to school clothes, or what you do on Sundays, or any day of the week, right? So a family tradition, oftentimes, we have those around holidays and special occasions like birthdays. But like I said, it can be something as simple as we always watch football together on Sundays. Or maybe you have a Taco Tuesday or something like that. So thinking about what you want to illustrate for us, what tradition do you want to share with us? So that's the first step, is kind of having an idea. From there, you're going to trace your hand. Now, Miss Apollo's hands are pretty big for the paper that we're using, but I'm going to go ahead and trace mine just so that I can show you how you will do your own. So first step, trace a hand. If you're making this art project at home, you could also trace someone else's in your house's home, in your in your home's hand. So a parent or a sibling, a sister or brother, maybe someone that you have the tradition with. To make it look more like a hand, I'm just going to go ahead and put rounded off rectangles to show that I have fingernails. This thumb is to the side, so it'll be off like that. You could draw a few little lines in the knuckles just to put some extra details in there and really show people that it's a hand. Then you could trace someone else's hand, like I mentioned. I don't have anyone else here, so I'm going to go ahead and just trace my own hand again. I want to have room to make some images, so I'm going to have mine kind of going off the page this time. So two hands, kind of to represent family, to represent more than one person doing this together. Oh. Now there, I messed up. That's okay. I'll just fix it, right? If it looked awkward. And when I'm tracing my hand, I'm not pushing in I'm just really lightly going around my fingers. I'm not pressing into them really hard, and I'm not pressing into the paper very hard. All right, so first we have the hands. Next, I'm going to create a border around the edges of my paper, and that is so I have a place to write some words. So first step was the hands. Now the second step is going to be the border. So if I take a second piece of paper that is the same size as the paper I was working with, I'm just going to leave a space big enough for me to write in between the edge. When I get to my hand, I'm actually going to stop. Come over here, do the same thing. If this part is challenging for you, if you're here with me at school in person, I can help you. If you are at home, it would be okay if you just wrote your family tradition around the outside and didn't have the border. I didn't realize my paper doesn't quite fit in just barely fits in the screen. All right, so my hand is there. I don't want to overlap with my hand. All right, this is going to be my place to write my words. Again, there's my example. Here's a different example, and this one's a little more abstract. So when I was younger, I used to go on road trips to visit my grandmother, and she lived about 4 hours away. So the road is a symbol, a representation for going on a road trip. The trees, the decorated tree, is showing me that I would go, showing you or showing my audience that I would visit her for the holidays often. And then these are actually roly-polies. They're a special kind of cookie that she made. So obviously Miss Apollo has cookies on her brain today because both of my examples show cookies. So the next step for you is, what do you want to show? What tradition do you want to share in your picture? Maybe you carve pumpkins. So it doesn't have to be a holiday or a tradition that's recent. Maybe you carve pumpkins every year. And so for that, I could think about, drawing a pumpkin shape just from my imagination, from my mind. And then so that we know it's pumpkin carving, making it look like a jack-o'-lantern. Maybe everyone in your family makes a pumpkin. Maybe you try and make some pretty fancy pumpkins. Sometimes people carve things like cats, right? Instead of just a jack-o'-lantern face, they try and carve out a picture in their pumpkin. So I want you to have time to do your own, as always. Wow, Miss Apollo's cat is starting to look like a monkey or a squirrel. I'm going to make it a squirrel since it looks like a squirrel. I'm just going to call that a happy accident, right? Yeah. So, so even though it's still supposed to be a pumpkin, it has a fancier design, or a more challenging design than a traditional pumpkin face. Some people do that. Maybe somebody in your household does that, right? So, thinking of how can you visually represent, right? What kind of images can you make to show your tradition? So everyone's would look different. So this week, week 1, tracing the hands, making the border, drawing your tradition, and then writing the words. So my family, Family. I don't have enough room for the word tradition, so I'm just going to turn my page. Tradition, Tradition, is, I'm going to keep turning my paper, carving, and now here I'm not going to spell it out because your tradition is going to be something different. Carving So I could put for fall or for Halloween. Maybe you dress up in costumes and you want to put something about how you dress up in costume for Halloween. So I could add more things, so like candy bars. So thinking of other things that I could draw that go with the tradition I already started to show. So we have jack-o'-lanterns. Maybe there's certain things you eat during that tradition, certain things you do. So how you show your tradition and what tradition shows up to you. The hands and the words is the part we're all definitely trying to do. Next week, we will finish these up. This week, pencil drawing, getting about this far, maybe with a few more details or images.